Jesus Christ, you people suck. Wow. Wolverine on it.
Back in the days when we played video games, it was hardcore for the nerdy and lazy. Now things have changed and all our video games are also for the casual and lady.
But that's okay, you know the score. We told you a million times before. Playing consoles, not just games, is in the past. And every week you listen to the best damn internet radio crew. It's the N4G podcast. It's the N4G podcast.
Alright, it's time for another week of N4G Radio. It's episode 619 for September 14th, 2020. And on the show this week, we have the lovely John W.
Hello.
And we have Anthony.
Yep.
Well, thanks for that. I'm Bill
Yeah.
Jeff, that's all I get.
Yep.
Yep.
And Mr. Wombat will be joining us in a moment to make an awkward appearance with his microphone. Because anytime he joins in after the show starts, we have an awkward microphone moment. But I can say, Price Watch is officially over.
Well, technically, half over. We've
Well,
got
it'll be over-
to
it'll
wait
be-
till this week for the party.
Maybe.
That's got to be it.
You think? I mean, it had to
Well, it
be it
has
in
to be.
August.
Well, there has to be, because you seriously think Sony are going to allow Microsoft to have pre-order time before they announce a price?
No, I have total agreement that Sony will announce price before pre-orders go live, which we guess we can go ahead and hop right into. It's that time of year. Football is on today, John. So
Yeah, is it? You've got crowd free, haven't you? Like we have over here with the soccer.
no, they are allowing in. I think for
What?
the Thursday night game there were 17,000 people allowed.
Oh, for fuck's sake! You guys are idiots.
Uh,
My
Not
God,
saying-
why would you go to a football a game?
I mean, a bunch of people went and saw Tenet over the weekend.
Yeah, but I've been to see Tenet, and it's basically there was about 11 people in the whole theatre. It's like they're open, but they've got like all blocked off. All the seats are all blocked off. There's like 4 seats in front, behind, and to the left and to the right of each
That's
group.
how the football games. How many people do you think fit in a football stadium, John?
I don't know. Yeah, but you've got 17,000 people who've got to leave and come in.
Well, I'm sure there's protocols to go in and out. I don't know. I'm not going to go. I wouldn't go see Tenet. You're calling us morons, but you went to the theater? Fuck off, John.
There was 11
Come
of
on
us.
now.
There was 11 of us.
That's enough to spread it to 12,000 people, John. But don't you know how tracing works?
Yeah, but that's not exactly. But
Yeah, you put the image you want to trace down first, and you put the other piece of paper over top of it. Yeah.
11
Well, my point-
people, 17,000 people. That's a
My
big
point
difference.
is that it's fall officially. I'm just
That football's
calling
on.
it. Football's on. That's all that matters. Wombat, did you join us?
I did, sir.
Oh, we didn't have a microphone mishap. Awesome.
Nope.
Welcome
I got
to the show.
my good mic back home now, so
Excellent. Well, we were just about to start. We were going to start discussing, the fact that we have some console prices.
just some.
Yeah, we don't have. Well, we were actually discussing that Sony. We're just into news. Fuck it. Sony's got an event on the 16th
Yes.
where we're assuming that they're just going to announce everything because, as John said,
No
we will-
funny if they don't.
if they don't announce prices, I'm going to laugh so goddamn hard.
I am sick to the back teeth of those fucking assholes online who literally think that Sony have won the console war because they have announced an announcement, and it's like, you're fucking kidding me. Get a life. It's
I
like
think
that's
you
the
saw the
first-
tweet.
That's the first time I've ever heard "sick to the back teeth." I like that.
That's a
it's,
pretty good one.
it's a British phrase, yeah.
I'm assuming you saw the tweet that a friend of the show put out saying, like, I had an out-of-body experience when
Yeah.
Sony announced the event.
It's like, seriously, that's what you get out. Go out more, do something with your life, but don't have an out-of-body experience because you've got an announcement of an announcement. Get a life.
I want to tell you the pinnacle of fanboyism this week that absolutely drove me. I literally just slammed my head into a wall. So I don't know if anybody has seen tweets from a site called Hard Drive, which is essentially the Onion for video games.
Yes.
So they put out a tweet this week that said Xbox All Access now includes a PS5. And the comments to that tweet were, I still wouldn't buy it, from Sony fanboys.
My God, are they all little crybabies?
But I'm just like, so you wouldn't take a free PS5 for the price of an Xbox because it would mean you'd have to own an Xbox.
Digital Foundry made a very good point when because they saw it months and months ago before the pandemic hit. The Xbox S. They made a very good point that even if you're like a Sony fan, the Xbox Series S is so priced such a way that it's a way for people to get those exclusives. If you have got a PlayStation, if your preferred platform is a PlayStation and you want the 5, for only a few $100s more, you can get into not only the Xbox ecosystem, but the Game Pass ecosystem. And there are people out there who think that's a crime.
Well, I mean, we had a God damn it, Ken Irokawa?
No, yeah, I know.
I can. I have.
Irokawa.
Thank you. I have issues. I cannot say that name.
No, so I'm with you.
He sent an email in and wasn't sure. Right? He's the one that plays Minecraft.
Yeah, he plays Minecraft.
Yeah.
He's the
Right.
Minecraft guy. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I wasn't melding the two into with a tweet or whatever. So, and I said like, well, you might want to get an Xbox because they're going to update first. Well, this is the way he does it, right? Like, if he's only going to play
$299.
Minecraft.
Yeah, that $299 price tag is like, that was the biggest news story of the week. Like, they announced price for the X, and everybody's like, I don't give a shit. Let's talk about the S.
Like, it's not as powerful, but like, if you've ever been like, oh, I want to play this, or I like the idea of Game Pass, this is the machine for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think
it's fantastic, and there's no way on God's green earth does Sony all digital PlayStation 5 match that price.
No
way, because obviously their specs are the same as the big one, but without the disc drive. But so this is a great way to own both for people who don't really mind about having like the pinnacle of the Xbox and having like all powerful there. At least they get to experience things like Game Pass, which are fantastic.
I have a weird thing where I'm flashback to my days in retail, and this would be the console I push to the people that aren't super familiar with video games. They're like, yeah, I just want a machine that can do the things.
Play
This
Madden,
is-
play Call of Duty, play Minecraft, have Game
like,
Pass,
as long as you're not
$300.
looking for a Blu-ray player,
Yeah.
here you go. Because this will be your thing where it's like, yeah, you can get all your standard Netflix and stuff on it, but like for whatever, $15 a month, like you get a bunch of games, and it's like, and you'll always have Minecraft, which is a big one, and you'll be able to play like so. Outside of the people that talk about video games on Twitter or on a podcast, like I think this is the one that will get consumers interested.
And that price point is beautiful for that.
Well, I mean, people need to realize that like the Wii sold not just because it was the Wii, but like it was also affordable.
It was $199. It wasn't at launch.
$249 for the
$249.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there you go. Not far off. What
Exactly.
Microsoft's asking.
So like, hey, I want to play this video game, but I don't have a console. This will do that for you. So
Yeah.
I like that concept of it because it gets more people to play video games, and again with the Game Pass, it's an easy thing to sell to people.
Yeah, Absolutely, and I think with not only with that, along with the price, you've also got the all access stuff, which again I don't see Sony doing, which is you get your Game Pass Ultimate, which includes your PC stuff, your Game Pass for Xbox, your streaming if you've got an Android, EA Play obviously now, but it also for the for what $20 for the S.
It's $25 a month. Is it 25 or 20 for the S?
It's 20 for the S and 30 for the X.
Well, it's 35 for the X.
Oh, it might be
I know
25
that for a fact.
then.
Yeah,
It might be 25 then. But what does Game Pass cost in dollars over there on its own?
15 a month.
For $10 extra. That's crazy value. That's really, really enticing to people who maybe want to dip their toe in it.
And it's worth mentioning that all access it's not more than you would pay up front. It's exactly the same, or sometimes in some cases a little less.
It's actually less if you think about it. Yeah, it's interest free, just like Apple do with their upgrade program and whatnot. You're just basically getting credit on the cost of the device. You're not paying any interest.
I think a lot of people don't like Anthony said. People who talk about video games on podcasts, people who tweet about video games, they don't realize that the majority of video game consoles are sold to people who are price conscious. That price matters. Yes, Xbox failed last gen because of that stupid messaging, but another reason PlayStation 1 is because, motherfucker, it was $100 cheaper.
Yeah. And also, it's a year where people are out of work or struggling with work and financially because of what's gone on. This is, again, a proper viable option for those people that can't shell out $500.
So just just so I can jump in and have my Breath of the Wild moment here. And not to dunk on the Series S, because I do agree with everything you guys have said, but just to make a couple points that I haven't seen very widely spread here. To your point about exclusives, you'll also be able to play any of those exclusives on the Xbox One S for the next 2 years, which is even cheaper than the Series S. Granted, they won't run as well, but the demographic that you guys are talking about, the extremely casual demographic, doesn't necessarily care about that as much as the hardcore folks do.
But I have here.
Hold on, let me finish. Don't jump in. And number two, the one of the big selling points of this generation for Xbox is backwards compatibility, and you won't be able to play any of your Xbox 360 or Xbox One disc games on this discless version as well. So not that I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good console. I think it's a great price. But my point is, if it's really all about price, you can play all the Xbox games you want for the next 2 years on an Xbox One S for even cheaper.
I've got a feeling that by the middle of next year, you won't be able to buy a new Xbox One S. I reckon they phase that out because the Series S will take its place.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you can get an S down to like $100 to $150, and you're still selling Game Pass machines.
I agree with that.
I will say.
I don't think, can you find Siri or the stupid naming convention here. Can you find the One S on shelves still though? Because the One X is basically gone.
The One X is out of print, but the One S is still being printed, and you can buy those.
Okay.
You can absolutely.
Because that was going to be my only thing on the first part. As for the Xbox 360 stuff, again, that's a you are already invested in video games thing.
Sure, but if you're not invested in video, that goes back to my first point. If you're not invested in video games, then the Xbox One S is cheaper and can play all the same stuff as the Series One or Series S.
Yeah, I mean these are all factors for sure, and they will factor in. But again, another point to that is if that guy that only plays Madden and Call of Duty every year is looking to play those games, to feel like he's in the zeitgeist of the next generation,
With the ray tracing and the fast SSD cards and stuff.
Yeah, and like you can get in for $300 as opposed to let's be fair, the PS5 is going to be at least $500 for the regular, probably $400 for the digital. That's my guess on the prices, and I'm guessing that the all digital version is going to be extremely hard to get. I'm also going to make a prediction that the Xbox Series S will outsell the Xbox Series X in the first couple years of that console.
I think, yeah. Well, yeah, you know what, you might be right.
I just think that for $300 to enter to get the idea of entering next generation, I think that thing is going to sell like fucking hotcakes. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think the X is going to sell to people like me, and the S is going to sell to like so many more people than me. Like I even saw people who do regularly play video games considering buying the S because they don't care about 4K. So
the one thing I'll say, and again, I'm just making these points because I don't feel like I've heard these points made in other places. I'm not making these points because I think the Series S is a bad idea or that it won't sell. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think it's a great price. I think it will sell. But at the same time, I do think that if they knew that this console was going to come out, I think it makes me question why they made the decision to say that for the first 2 years everything would still be able to be playable on the Xbox One. Because it seems like you could have encouraged a lot more people to buy this Series S if they had to upgrade to the next gen to play the next generation of games.
yeah, I agree. I think Microsoft was trying to cover every base without upsetting one area, and like you say, that can certainly backfire in the fact that, you know, any first party Microsoft game for the next let's be fair that statement of Xbox working on S is just first party stuff.
Sure.
So like a game like The Medium will not play on the Xbox One S from what I understand.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. That piece is more aimed at the notion that this is a great second console for the people that already have a PS5. And my assumption is if you already have a PS5 that can run stuff in 4K, you're likely not going to buy third-party stuff for the Series S.
Unless it's exclusive like the Gunk and I think the Medium is.
Okay.
So those, I know the Gunk is for sure, but I think the Medium is at least a timed exclusive. I hate this shit. I can't stand it. I can't stand a game that's coming to another console not even being allowed to say they're coming to another console. That works both ways. I hate that shit. I mean, there's so many of them. Like we know Final Fantasy Remake's coming to the Xbox and the PC, but we still haven't had somebody come out and say that it is coming.
Not allowed to just yet.
Yeah, and I think that's a crack of shit. Like,
yeah, no, agreed. And again, it's bad enough that exclusives happen, but at least give those that don't have the PlayStation 4 or whatever a little bit of hope and say, well, look, you know, Sony have ponied up for a bit for some timed exclusivity, but don't fret, it will be there. But unfortunately, part of the exclusivity is the fact that it has to seem like it is exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. I hate it for all consoles. Like even Switch is guilty of it, where they'll do those directs and they'll be like, you know, this game's coming to Switch.
Timed exclusive on console or something, isn't it? It's like console timed exclusive, and it's but at least they say it's timed exclusive. Whereas, because that's one thing they do often tout. It's like if you watch those directs, it's coming first on console or timed exclusive. At least they're making that known. Whereas, as you say, other companies like Final Fantasy, you know, games like Final Fantasy VII, we know it's happening. They're just
even to be fair, it does say it on the box. It says 1 year timed exclusive on the box.
Does it really?
Yeah, like there's a little logo on it that says timed exclusive. I was like, that's fucking weird.
I haven't bought the box. I've got the digital version. So
I don't buy boxes anymore, so it don't matter to me. But I just thought that was funny.
Oh wow!
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just confusing to consumers. And truth be told, I know that we flub it up. But like hearing articles every day about how confusing Series S versus Series X is, and I'm just like, man, there are so many more confusing things on this planet.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so I mean, this is a huge week for me because I'm still undecided on which console I'm going to buy first. I'll have both the Series X and the PS5 at some point in the next year, but I'm still undecided as to which one I'm going to buy first. So,
Do you think price will play a part of that?
not likely, because I am one of the people who expects the PS5 to come in at $500. I don't think they'll come in more expensive than that. So I don't think price will make a difference. It's mostly about what games are going to be there at launch. And
Well, they've said
if
things like Valhalla have been brought forward, haven't they, to launch with the
Xbox, yeah, and
Xbox, haven't they? So, which is cool.
yeah, my question is mostly around, like, I'm sure Miles Morales will be a PlayStation 5 launch title.
I reckon that
but
gets
I'm just-
pushed.
You think so?
I think so.
I mean,
I think it'll be there.
I don't know. We haven't even seen it. Like, I hope it's there. That'd be a good launch title.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but we really haven't seen much running on the Series X either, and they're going to have launch titles. So I think it'll be there. My question is, what else is there? And it may make more sense based on the library for me to pick up an Xbox first. It may not. I'm still trying to figure it out. So.
Well, to be fair, we've seen games running that are coming to Xbox, but Xbox doesn't necessarily have an exclusive anyway.
Yeah, but we haven't seen them running on an Xbox, have we? I thought their last thing was I thought those were running on PC.
So the video that came out this week for the Series S, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Legion, or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and one of the other games were running on Xbox Series S.
But have we? So yeah, my question was, have we seen anything running on Series X?
I mean, I'm assuming those are the same games running on the X, right? The S and the X are the same architecture, just more powerful.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. It's not them running on the console, it's the game running itself. Like, we haven't seen any gameplay demos of Miles Morales. We've seen more of Ratchet than we've seen of Miles Morales, and they said Ratchet wasn't launch.
Sure.
That's the only thing that makes me nervous that Miles Morales is going to get delayed, because every day we see a game get delayed. What was it? The Kena, the Bridge of Spirits got delayed this week.
Yep.
Which was a huge, like, that looked like one of those games that could steal a launch because it looked so good and there wasn't a lot else coming out. So that's another game delayed.
Yeah, I will be shocked if Miles Morales isn't at launch. I agree on all the points you just made, but I will be shocked if it's not at launch.
I would be shocked too, because it literally puts PlayStation in the same position as Xbox with not really having an exclusive. And
it's all it is I shouldn't say all it is because it minimizes the effort, but it's the Spider-Man on PS4 engine at its core, just beefed up for the system capability. So it's not like they're rebuilding the engine from scratch. So I would be shocked if it's not there at launch.
I hope it is,
but we'll see.
I think we'll know one way or the other come.
I agree.
Wednesday,
I think on Wednesday, we'll know the vast majority of the stuff that's coming to the PlayStation 5 at launch.
Yeah,
I do hope they come. I was gonna say, I do hope they come out and finally debunk the back compat stuff, because it's just not fucking happening.
No,
I don't think that's happening either.
Yeah, if they were gonna do that, we'd heard about it by now.
It'll certainly be interesting to watch, but I think come Wednesday we will find out what games that launches with, and at that point you think they'll have a very good idea of if anything's going to be pushed back.
I am interested to watch it because I've already made my decision on what I'm buying this fall, and I'm excited to see what I'm going to be playing come the spring when I do pick up a PS5. And I hope, and I know I'm one of the few of the hardcore gaming community, I hope that I can get a digital PS5, because I would rather pay less, because I'm not buying discs ever again. So I hope I can get one. I have a feeling they're going to be hard to get, and that makes me nervous. But anyway, that wasn't the only news that happened this week. Ubisoft also had a Forward event where they announced some new games. One of them was the return of something people have been clamoring for forever. No, I'm not talking about Prince Persia. We're going to talk about Scott Pilgrim. So Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is coming back. It's a complete edition. will be released this fall for everything, pretty much. I think it's even come to Stadia because Ubisoft is one of the 2 companies supporting Stadia. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Does anybody on the show one of those people that have been going nuts for this thing to come back?
I mean, it's a
I
good game.
never even played it.
It's a great game. I'm not a rabid fan, but it's a solid beat 'em up. That's for sure. It's a cracking title.
It's a really good River City Ransom clone.
Mm.
I mean, like it's River City Ransom to its core, and it's a good game. And it's a shame that people couldn't get it, but I mean, I'm glad it's coming back. Like it's a really good game. I wouldn't have bothered Brian Lee O'Malley for years about it. As if
you know how people are. They get something that it's literally, I think the best tweet I saw about it, and it's from a snarky Twitter account, so whatever. But I think the best line I saw about this game is people were clamoring for a game just because they couldn't have it. And I think there's truth to that. I really do.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you might be right.
I mean, you're not necessarily wrong, but when it came out, I don't think people were in the mood for that type of game.
But are they really in the mood for that type of game now, considering the renaissance of beat 'em ups we've had in the last 2 years? We've had an overload.
Yes, but that's just it. Like, it came out and it was the best of beat 'em ups in a world that didn't want those anymore. Like, this was around 2010. Like,
yeah.
So it's been almost a decade.
It's I don't have any problem with any game coming back because there are fans for it. I'm just curious why this one gets so much more attention than
because it's
else.
4 players. The artwork's really good. The music's fantastic. Again, it's like River City Ransom, so it's kind of this open world thing.
Nah, it's just because people can't buy it. Come on now, you know that's true.
I mean, that definitely was part of it, but like, it was just I don't know what to tell you. Fine, sure.
Wait, so I've never played Scott Pilgrim. It's 4 players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really Scott Pilgrim and 3 other people versus the world.
Well, what doesn't make sense is you can play as Ramona Flowers. Who
I don't know who that is. So
the girl Scott Pilgrim is fighting the world for.
Oh, okay. Scott Pilgrim's completely outside of my. I've never seen the movie. I've never.
Yeah, he's in love with this girl, and he has to fight all of her exes.
Yeah,
like that's the plot line,
Gotcha.
And it's very like over the top, goofy. So,
gotcha.
Chris Evans is in it. If you were on Twitter this weekend, that's a funny joke.
Yeah. My favorite thing about that is how people love Chris Evans so much that people like rushed that hashtag to post unrelated things to bury the picture that got out.
Yeah, for sure.
What happened?
Oh, John.
So Chris Evans posted a picture of his camera roll from his phone, and it happened to include a picture of his business.
Well, hold on.
Of his hawk. Yeah.
From my understanding, you don't necessarily know it's his.
Okay, so someone's business.
That's actually conspiracy, everybody.
But the best picture on his camera roll was the one that said "Garden that pussy."
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So then,
Wow.
like I said, people like Chris Evans so much that they rushed the hashtag and started posting like
his
wholesome
dog pictures.
things. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. Although I've never met Chris Evans, they filmed part of the Avengers. If you've seen, I can't remember which one it is, but you know where they've got the new Avengers building. It's like that glass building in one of the movies. I can't remember which one it is.
I mean, there's like 600 movies, John. I don't fucking.
But anyway,
remember.
there's a big glass building, the new Avengers headquarters, whatever, and that was filmed in Norwich, which is where I used to live. And they had Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth at the local university, which is where that land is owned, or who owns that land. And apparently, Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. were great, and they were posing for photos and speaking to the students there and all sorts. And Chris Evans was a dick. So there you go.
Wow, John, way to ruin his hog. Anyway, let's move on. Another game coming back that people have been clamoring for is Prince Persia Remake has been announced.
That looked terrible.
Well,
I'm sorry that, and I'll go into this when we speak about games we've been playing. But as a remaster, that looked janky as fuck.
okay, well, way to be negative, but all right.
Does anyone disagree?
It's a first-time studio. It's Ubisoft's first remake, and actually, from what I understand, that trailer was a very old build. I won't judge anything until I actually play it because I like that game. But to be fair, I did purchase it on the Xbox store for $3.99 this weekend and was able to play it in 4K.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like... It looks like how you remember it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look like how it was. I think a lot of people need to realize that. It doesn't look like next gen. It looks like what you'd expect from like a PS3 remake, sure.
And it was literally announced for Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah, it still looks a generation behind.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
annoys me about it is that they've called it a remake, and there's a whole thing about remasters and remakes. And the last time that word was used in any kind of big sense was Final Fantasy. I know that's a very different thing, but as a remake, I expect that to look better.
But it is a remake. It is not on the same engine. They, I think, are re-recording all the dialogue. So it is.
So if
not
it's not on the same engine, it should look better.
It's on the Assassin's Creed engine, and again, this is a first-time studio. I think they've done one other game technically, and it was small. It was a very small game. So it's you don't hear about too many games coming out of India. So it's Ubisoft India. They're giving what everybody's saying about this is like, it doesn't look as good or whatever, which again I think is wrong. It just doesn't look as good as what you'd expect from Ubisoft, I suppose, at this point. But what I don't understand is why people are getting upset about that. I'm just kind of upset that the way we're getting Prince of Persia again is a story I've already seen.
You're not getting a new one.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying I wanted more of the 2008 version, which, I mean, I do, because I liked that take on the world, but anything at this point. I don't need to see the Sands of Time story. Again, this is now the third time they're retelling that story. They did it in the original game, they did the movie, and now they're doing this. And it's just kind of like, okay, but like you've proven that there's more to this myth of this character than the Sands of Time. So it'll be interesting.
Isn't it perfectly in fitting with the universe that they would tell the same story over and over again?
Just rewind it.
They should just pause between installments and say, "No, wait, that's not quite how it went. Let me try again."
I think it would have. I think I would be feeling better about it if they did like something to kind of subvert your expectations in the trailer, but it literally just looks like a trailer for the game I've played with new models. Like, it's like, okay. And I think they don't do themselves any favor by having one of the pre-order bonuses be the classic filter or something like that. Which just makes the game look old, I think.
Hey, you can do that on Xbox. You can just buy the back compat version.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's a really weird pre-order bonus. I understand including the original like model of the prince with all of the janky edges and stuff, but like, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see when it comes out in January.
I'll play it again. It's a good game. So as long as they match that playing style, I'm okay with it.
I was looking for it, but I can't find the name of the game that ended the show. Riders something.
Riders Republic.
Yeah, I don't care.
I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's steep too. And it technically is all but name.
But it's not. It's like a battle royale, right?
No, I don't think it is. I think
It's
there
a
will be a battle
multiplayer game.
royale. I think yes, multiplayer. I don't think it's I don't think the main mode will be battle royale. I think it will have a battle royale mode, but I don't think it's solely battle royale.
From that trailer, I literally got that like 60 people jump off the top of a mountain. The first one to get to the bottom wins. It's like Fall Guys.
No, I think there will be a mode, but I don't think that's the only mode. I think this is a spiritual successor to. It's the same studio that made Steep, but
Yeah, but
obviously,
Steep had like a single player. Like
I
that's,
think this will. I think this will have some stuff you can do on your own. This is a multiplayer game. I'm just saying that this is, to me, I got the impression that this was the next step in that Steep gameplay, but it isn't Steep. It's the same people. It's a similar concept. It's not the snow, and it's multiplayer. But well, let me just put it this way: if it is solely a battle royale game, you have to pay for this game. This isn't free, and that is the kiss of death for a battle royale game.
I don't know. I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't care.
No, I looked at it and I thought it was a bit. It's not my cup of tea for sure.
They also showed Watch Dogs, which we know the return of Aiden from the first game, which blew the internet up. I know Anthony was happy he liked that character. Everybody wanted Marcus. I don't know. I didn't need either one. Watch Dogs has never been a bad game about characters.
I mean, it didn't. What I thought was interesting though was that they were. Can I just explain my point of why Aiden Pierce is a better character? Ken?
You're not allowed to explain your point. That's stupid.
All right.
No, go ahead.
I understand why people like Marcus better. He is a likable character. However,
More personable.
He's more personable, and so was all of his cast of friends that you meet, part of their DedSec. However, that game fails not only in the fact that you can do every mission with just the little RC car, basically, which kind of defeats the point of sneaking around if you just can drive the RC car and then buzz people's phones and they stop paying attention to the RC car and then you just drive to the point and then leave. The issue with that game was there was no real serious parts. The parts that were serious have next to no follow-up, and they learn kind of nothing throughout that game. So it's a bunch of kids, relatively, right, doing a bunch of stuff that's illegal. They face consequences, but those consequences never pay off fully. You never see what they've learned from those mistakes. And it seemed like that game was trying to be more funny, and that's fine, but it's the same issue that I have with Far Cry. Funny isn't just enough. They did that with 4, and I think that's the reason why Far Cry 4 doesn't have as much character as Far Cry 3 or 5, is that the bad guy in 4 is just kind of Voss again. And it's like, okay, this game was like, what if everybody was wacky and weird? And, I didn't feel like those characters should have been shooting guns at any point in time, and that game forces you at the end basically to use guns. And that's one of the first times it really stood out to me of like, why is my character shooting people? It made sense with Aiden Pierce because he was a criminal beforehand who was trying to get revenge for his niece dying because he fucked up and somebody thought he had information that he didn't. And it's a big noir story of Aiden kind of plowing through all these parts of the criminal underworld to find out why his niece was killed and get revenge. And lo and behold, it really had nothing to do with him in the first place. And it was his mistake that started the whole thing. He was being bad. So it allows him to shoot guns, steal cars, and you not have to question the morality of someone that is supposed to be likable. He's not likable. That's the reason why bad things happen to him. It's everybody around him that you're supposed to feel for. It's the reason why your Grand Theft Auto characters, like, generally are assholes, because that allows them to do things. Like, it was so weird that Aiden Pierce got called out over everybody else. Like, that's the reason why Trevor in Grand Theft Auto 5 can cook meth. He's not supposed to be a good person. You can say it was they didn't try to make you like Aiden Pierce enough when they did with, everybody in GTA, but like it's the same thing. Aiden Pierce is
I-
not likable.
I completely agree. I think the problem with Watch Dogs 2 was the complete flip flop of the story arc, the narrative, and the actions that these characters take in the game, i.e., firing guns. It completely is at odds with that. Whereas you're right, with the first game, he's not a nice character. He's not meant to be, and guns are part of his world, and it makes more sense. I'm not saying that Watch Dogs is the better game. Or the first game is a better game.
No, the
But-
2 has better
but-
controls.
Yeah, it was a more refined experience, but absolutely, when it comes to the story, the first game made more sense, and Aiden made more sense in the situation he was in.
And there is like the way I'm really looking forward to Watch Dogs the more I've seen of it, because when they first showed it off, they showed Granny hopping the rail at the bank or whatever, and then shooting someone with a shotgun, and then I was like, oh, okay, they're doing that. But it seems like they're working more off of what they did with the first game, which, you took down a murderer, you found human traffickers, drug trafficking, Iraq, who came back from Iraq and, was a criminal because he couldn't get a job anywhere, and he was they had all these characters have really deep backgrounds, and in 2 it was like a bunch of kids hacking each other over the internet, and eventually the FBI, spoiler I suppose, does track them, and I was like, this is compelling. This is paying off on everything you've built up to up till this point of these characters being kind of kiddie-ish, and I was hoping I'd see them sort of turn into the people they need to be to take down this gigantic corporation, and that happened for one mission, and then it was back to the lol memes stuff, and it was just, if you go back and play Watch Dogs 1, for all its faults, it hasn't aged as much as Watch Dogs 2, which relied a lot on like meme culture. I'm torn because I do want to see Marcus back as well, but I was super excited. I even messaged Ken when I found out that I was super excited about Watch Dogs. So,
All right, we gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Ubisoft stuff. The other big stuff was they announced the date for Immortals: Phoenix Rising. A lot of people have played this game. I am super stoked for this game. It looks like Breath of the Wild, which means Wombat doesn't care. But a Ubisoft game.
Hold on. I know that's a thing, but that's not fair.
It was just a joke. But I'm looking forward to that game.
I think it looks
cool.
fantastic. I'm just going to say it. I think it looks
That
tremendous.
looks cool.
Yeah.
I
can't wait to play that.
My worry is that it looks it looks a little bit too Ubisofty, and I wish they'd do something different nowadays.
I mean, Breath of the Wild was kind of Ubisofty when you think about it.
What's funny is like I read comments that this thing is like shameless in its Breath of the Wild. Like you mark places on the map with a telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Like, it has like a same cooking animation. It's pretty shameless from what but you know what? I love Breath of the Wild, and this looks like a next gen. Like I can finally play Breath of the Wild on my Xbox, and I'm okay with that.
And I mean, their last Zelda-ish ripoff was Beyond Good and Evil, right?
Hey, you know what? And that game was good.
Exactly. Now, this game was Gods and Monsters, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was called Gods and Monsters.
I just couldn't remember what it was called, but yeah, just in case anybody was wondering, I knew it had a previous name.
I don't understand why they misspelled Phoenix, but that, whatever.
Trademarking.
Whatever. That game looks cool. I think the Ubisoft looks cool. I think the fact that they once again didn't put anything in their show about the problems that are going on at that company is a bad move.
It makes them look very, very bad.
We released it as a separate video, but we'll put it in the thing. And then I saw Mike Futter say they have not added it to the video.
No, of course not. Because of timing, we couldn't put that bullshit.
That's a load of old bollocks.
You can edit a video.
No. Because of timing, they said they weren't going to put it on the stream, but they said that they would add it later to the video they upload. And Mike Futter went and checked, and no, they had not.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's a fun one. So you remember when 505 Games said it was a technical limitation that we couldn't get the upgrade for Control?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Huh. Well,
I'm
when
old enough to remember that.
when the upgrade edition launched on PlayStation 4, a bunch of people who had already bought Control in the DLC had access to it. Holy cow, what a technical issue.
Yeah, it's impossible to do that.
Oh my God, you look worse, especially when we had CD Projekt Red this week announce that The Witcher 3 was getting a next gen upgrade.
I think
Yep.
I think The Witcher 3 will get a PS6 next gen upgrade at this point. They're just beasts. They are. They really are.
Yeah, but 505, you fucking up. You
Yeah,
fucking
I
up
should-
a game that was like game of the year material. It's that good.
The thing is, what annoys me is that you would think that they would bite the bullet on this and say, you know what, our bad, we're sorry, you can all have it for free if you've bought it already. But because they doubled down on that shit when they first got called out on it, I reckon they won't.
No, fuck you. You can buy it, and
Didn't they revoke it from everybody that had it?
they
Yeah,
did.
they did.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did take it away from people who had it, which is even more hilarious. It's like, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah, I will say, so to that point, that's so one of the other things that still has me on the fence as to which console I want to pick up at launch is I really want to see the Witcher 3 upgrade and also the what Ghost of Tsushima looks like and feels like on the next gen consoles as well.
I really want to know. So, and this is not a negative thing. I want to know what Sony is doing to these games because so far they're not out there like Microsoft showing you like, well, here's how much faster this game loads. Here's what the frame rate's going to be on this game. Here are the benefits you're going to get. And in fact, they won't even tell us if every game is going to work. It seems like they're kind of half-assing the PS4 support on the PS5, and I don't like that. Like, what happens if I have a game that I want to play and it just don't work?
Well, keep your PS4.
That's kind of the point of this thing, John, is I don't want to keep my old Literally, the day I pull the Xbox One X out from underneath my entertainment center, it's gone. It's done. My Series X replaces it, and I know that I won't have to go back to... Like, you know how long it's been since I've had to load up a 360?
No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And they should be more... Because what they have... yeah, you're right. They should be more upfront about what is going on with it, because the fact that Mark Cerny said we're working on the top 100 titles or whatever is not... That's not confirmation. That's not information. That's just an after... You know, it's just a sentence in a presentation. They should come out and officially take a stance as to what backwards compatibility means for the PlayStation 5. And maybe that happens this week.
Oh my god, I would love to see Ghost of Tsushima running at 4K, 60 frames a second. Oh my god.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, like, I mean, you've got the SSD loading or whatever, but that game has such fast loading times. I don't even know how they could be much faster.
Like, literally, there's no load
Yeah.
in Ghost of Tsushima. I mean,
Wow.
there's
the
none.
initial load.
But I
that's
mean,
it.
when you upgrade it to the PS5, there's no loading.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like, like, literally, you hit start and boom, you're on the fucking, you're in the field.
Yeah.
Like, that would be amazing. And,
Yeah.
but I want you to show me that, like, Microsoft's been showing that. If you watch the S video this week, they showed Gears 5 running at 120 frames a second.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, I imagine we'll get some of that on Wednesday.
I hope so, because it's only 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting because it's shorter than Microsoft's opening TGS conference, which will have no next-gen news, which is hilarious. I don't know.
Yeah, the TGS is not their playground.
No, but they're opening the show. They're the headliner, John.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're opening the show with a 50-minute presentation. They are the start of TGS.
Oh, okay.
Fucking dogs and cats living together. Microsoft opening Tokyo Game Show. Anyway.
Wow.
Whew. Man, 2020 is weird. Real fucking weird.
Real fucking weird. True story.
I think we've covered about all the other big stuff. We mentioned the Kina delay. We talked about Ubisoft Forward. We went through the pricing. One last thing. Nintendo announced probably their big holiday title, which was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, if you've not played Hyrule Warriors, shame on you. You should go play that. It's a wonderful game. But what really makes this one interesting is it's a fucking canon prequel to Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
And that's super fucking cool. So yeah, Nintendo, man. You know what? You can talk about these new console launches. You can talk about this. You can talk about that. Motherfucking Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity are probably locks for my top 10 games of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean, if there's a case to be made that they're the most interesting first-party... Well, they're definitely the most interesting first-party games this holiday.
Yeah. Hands down. Like, what else we got? We've got fucking Spider-Man. Maybe.
And also, bear in mind, this year's, this is a half-cooked year, so Nintendo haven't even got a lot, but they're still more interested than anyone else.
They're more interesting than the guys who want you to pony up $500 for a new console. Think about that for a minute. Anyway. Sorry. All right, so that covers the news. Let's go ahead and we'll quickly run through what games we've been playing. Anthony, you want to kick us off? I know you can't talk about Spelunky, but
Yeah,
what
so
else?
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, moving on.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater's real. That's another game. It's going to be sad when my Game of the Year list this year is a remake of Tony Hawk and a collection of Super Mario 3D platformers.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in my list for the year. So, yep.
Oh my god, it's
That's
so
it.
good. It's so good. All right, well, John, I'll hop over to you. What do you got going on?
Well, I just start off playing. I finally picked up Last of Us 2 because it was on hours on sale, so I got it for the equivalent of like $35. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick that up, and I started playing it. It looks very pretty.
Yes.
Looks very, very pretty. I haven't played a huge amount because I'm just worried about what it's going to do to my mental state because it's a hard game to play narratively. So I'm going to take baby steps. But I've enjoyed what I've played so far. I've been continuing with my fork knife, and I've been
your fork knife.
My fork knife. I've enjoying my fork knife. Season 4 continues, and it's cool. I like the stuff they've added in. The Marvel stuff's pretty cool, and they've got like powers that you can pick up as loot. So you got like Iron Man's repulsor gloves and all sorts. That's quite a bit of fun. But the game I played most this week is Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning.
I saw. I don't know if anybody watches. They do like a weekly Xbox show called This Week on Xbox, and Major Nelson was doing the new releases, and he pronounced it Kings of Amular.
Oh, bless him.
I just kind of chuckled. I'm like, there's no U after the M.
Amular.
Amular.
This is interesting. So, this, for those that don't know it, is a I'm going to choose my... No.
It's not a remake.
No. It's a re-release of Kingdoms of Amalur. It is not a remaster. I checked. I downloaded the original version of Kingdoms of Amalur, and with the exception of a couple of UI changes and a couple of field of view sliders, they are identical. There has been no work done to them. And this is my problem with this game, because although you can't officially buy it from Steam or anything, because obviously the rights moved over, you can still get hold of the keys for a PC version of that for for pittance, for like a couple of quid, and they're charging $40 for this, and this is not a remaster, this is not a remake, this is a re-release, to the point where they didn't even change the title card when the game starts. So it's, even though the title screen, if you, I don't know if you can remember it originally, but the title screen, it has your menu on the left, top left, and it's got someone fighting a big beast, and that's identical. I haven't changed that. And on the title card, it says Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. But when you start the game and when you get the title flash up, it doesn't even say Re-Reckoning. It just says Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. That's how little work they've done to this. And it staggers me that they want you to pay that much money for what is essentially a re-release of a 8-year-old game. There's a bad move. And it kind of sums up how THQ Nordic have been with their re-releases, which is spotty. Because on one hand, you have games like Saints Row the Third Remaster, which from what I have seen, I've not played it, but from what I've seen, has had a massive graphical overhaul, new engine, the lot. You've got Saints Row 4 Remaster, which was piss poor. You've got the Darksiders, which were okay remasters. They are incredibly spotty when it comes to this stuff, but this is the worst case I have ever seen for any remaster. It literally is the same, and that is my biggest problem. The game is fun. The game is, for those that haven't played it, it's like a very Fable-ish. It's got a similar sense of humour. All the characters are either British, Welsh, or Scottish or Irish accents. It's a sort of action RPG. One button's bound to your melee attack, one button's bound to your spell attack, one button's bound to your ranged or secondary weapon attack. It's very, very Fable-ish. The slight difference is that you can level up your character, but you have different fates, and these fates can determine what bonuses and stats you get. And they can be changed on the fly. You can respec without any penalty. So you can find your kind of way of playing that you enjoy without any fear of making a wrong choice with your decisions on leveling up, because you can just sort of respec them. It's quite cool. But this is an old game. This is an 8-year-old game at this point, and it still looks and feels like an 8-year-old game. The fact that with the console versions, yes, you've got 4K support for the high levels, like the Xbox X and the PS4 Pro. But I'm playing on the PC, and even the old version had the same resolution options. There is so little difference, it's staggering, and it's such a shame. That could have really, I think, benefited from not only some graphical tweaks and a little overhaul, but also some gameplay mechanics could have been tweaked slightly to make it a slightly more enjoyable experience. But when they can't even be bothered to upgrade the title card, what can you do?
I can just play it and have a good time.
Well, you could, but you could also just play the original and have a good go. I mean, if you've got that on your Xbox because it's backwards compatible, or you've got that already on your PC, or I don't know if it is still there, but I think it was included in EA's PC access, EA Play PC. I think it may have been there. It might not be anymore, again, because of licensing, but there are. This is no different from those versions, and they're charging you not full price, but they're charging you a current mid-range price for it, and that's, to me, unacceptable.
All right. Were you playing
That's all I
anything
played. No, that's about it.
Okay. Wombat, did you play anything?
Yes, I did, but only one thing.
Okay.
So I played NBA 2K21 this week. So let's see here. So here's what I'll say. I did play it exclusively post patch. So both my comments here and my review will be post patch comments. Well, let me just start out at a high level. So everybody who knows me knows that the main thing, one of the only things that I care about in sports games, in the year of our Lord 2020, is the career mode. And so most of my time with 2K21 has been in the career mode. They do still have, the franchise/season modes, and of course my team, which is the collectible card mode that every sports franchise is required to have now, and that I, as someone who does enjoy sports games, has never once found any enjoyment in. I'm glad it's there for the people that love it, but I have yet to find one of these card modes in these games that interests me in the least. So most of my time has been spent in the career. So one of the things that has set the NBA 2K series apart from some of the other sports franchises is the fact that they always try to turn their career mode into a sort of mini movie. So you had the Spike Lee one a couple years ago, which was pretty disappointing and had a fucking ghost in it. You had last year, the one last year was, I thought, really good, about a player who was sort of, it tried to piggyback on the social consciousness of a lot of NBA players, but it did it in a way that was, they found the least controversial way, the safest way they could have that conversation, which was about a teammate who got injured and then lost his scholarship because of his injury, and so your player protested it and sat out a championship game. And so you basically had to fight from being sort of undraftable to find a draft spot. This year's game is about a player whose father was an all-American high school player, a captain of his college basketball team, who lost the championship, and despite being a well-known, famous, and very high-profile college player, wasn't drafted because he was, undersized, and because, he could dunk, but his vertical wasn't that great. And so he kind of makes a point to your character midway through the story to say, it's not to get drafted. It's not enough to just be a good player. You have to check their boxes. And so the story, and it also involves a love interest, which just gets kind of weird. It's fine. It's not great. It's, I'm at a point now where I wish, they would give you the option in these to either play through the story or just jump straight into like a normal career without the story. It is cool that you do get to play. They put a little more emphasis on the college experience this year. So you play, I can't remember if it's I think it might be 3 games in high school. And then you play a slate in college, 4 or 5. I can't remember. I think it depends on how many you win. And you do play the national championship game in college. So you do get a lot more story, quote unquote, leading up to before you're even in the NBA. At least during the college games, I felt like they had the game set up for the coach to, make some points that they felt like were important about working hard and being a leader on the floor. And but the problem with the story when they try to get too story focused is that it can feel really disconnected from your performance on the court. I had a game when my player was in college where I scored 35 points and had 10 assists, which is college players aren't doing that generally unless they're superstar college players. And after the game, we lost the game by like 2 points or something like that. And after the game, one of my teammates said, if you keep playing like that, your draft stock's going to suffer. And it's like, seriously? Like, I get that you're trying to make some points in the story, but you can't let that come at the expense of completely ignoring what the player did in the games themselves. All it does is make the games feel like a waste of time.
I think a lot of career modes in sports games bump into that.
Yeah, and I listen. I get it. You're trying to, career modes in these games are already RPG light, and you're trying to interject some story into it. But I think you can do that without having the game completely ignore what you did on the court for the sake of shoehorning in the story that they're trying to tell about how hard it is to make it to the NBA. On the court. I know there was a lot of complaints about the shooting mechanic. It's definitely different than prior years. So last year specifically, it was a meter that filled up, and when it got exactly to the top, it would be green. Green release in these games is almost a meme. Like there are people who play this game that even if they make a shot, don't think it's good enough if it wasn't a green release. And it's, from my experience as someone who has never been an all-star at these games, it's definitely, even post-patch, much harder to get a perfect release in this game than it was last year. I will say that, I saw a lot of complaints pre-patch about the ability to make shots from close. I haven't had really much problem making layups and stuff like that post-patch. But I will say, as someone who, within the last 2 weeks was playing NBA 2K20, it definitely feels like it is much harder to make mid-range and three-point shots in this game compared to the prior years. And that's comparing my career to my career. And because the review copy that I have is the big Kobe Bryant edition, I actually had enough coins to make my character, pretty good. I didn't spend all my coins on it because I wanted to get a sense of the progression still. But after I got a good sense for what it felt like to play as a rank 65 player, my character now is a rank 80 player, which is higher than the character I've been playing in 2K20. And it's harder for this character to make mid and long range shots than it is last year. So it's definitely, they've definitely made shooting tougher. And for some people, that's going to be frustrating. Some people will enjoy the challenge, and I'm sure people who are better at timing their shots will be fine. But for me, it's definitely more challenging this year from mid to long range. Other than that, quite honestly, most of the rest of the game is very similar. I didn't even mention what the shot meter looks like now. So instead of the shot meter being a gauge that kind of fills up and you have to try to release it at the top, now it's like a meter that has a yellow bar with a line in the middle of it, and the goal is to try and land on the line, which mechanically I think looks and works better, but it doesn't feel the same. So I imagine, I wish I had had a chance to play it pre-patch so that I could compare what the patch had done. But even post-patch, I'll say to anybody that's curious, shooting definitely feels harder this year than last year. Other than that, passing is very similar. The rest of the game mode to the point that the character creator is literally exactly the same from last year. Most of the rest of the stuff is similar to last year. But I'm still enjoying the game. I still think that the 2K series is behind MLB The Show as the best sports sim every year. But I'm not quite enjoying this year's game as much as I enjoyed last year's game. And that's it. I haven't played anything else this week. A little bit more Ring Fit Adventure, but nothing much else to talk through.
All right. Oh, so just to piggyback off of that real quick, I was playing some more of the Madden face of the franchise this week. And so here's an interesting glitch. If anybody's heard about that game, they know that game is full of glitches and issues right now. So I created myself in the face of the franchise, and up to this point it had been fine. Well, I got drafted into the NFL, which, by the way, this year you are allowed to pick the team that will draft you, which I think is really cool. You can choose to do that, or you can choose to leave it up to fate, which I think is a cool choice. So I get drafted by the Raiders, and I hold my first press conference. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm white. Okay? I know that. There was a glitch there was a glitch that happened during my first press conference, and it's happened in every press conference after this. The skin tone of my created character turns black. So in the game, on the field, when I'm playing, I'm white, but in my press conferences, I'm black.
What the hell is wrong with the AI?
I don't know.
The hell is wrong with these people? They just are not happy unless they're pumping out crap.
Oh man, that game is something about that game. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I was like, wow, okay, that is a bad glitch. So I'm gonna run through these quick. I've played a lot of crap, but not a ton of a lot of crap. So I played Necromunda. I know we kind of joked about that name of that game last week, the new Warhammer tactical strategy game. And I like what it's doing. I think it's got some very good visual stuff going on. I like the faction system between, the characters that you're fighting, the ones you're playing versus the ones you're playing against. Every faction has kind of like its own traits and buffs and things like that. I like the fact that the tactical mode is literally a third-person shooter where you move and look with the sticks, and it feels like a third-person game in that sense. My biggest gripe about this game is that sometimes so basically what you're doing is you're on a map. The objective is to do all the stuff on the map and then get to the exit and get extracted. So what drives me crazy about this game is like it is literal in making you wait to do everything. So I'll give you an example of one of the missions. I had two characters I was controlling. I did all the objectives on the map, and then the goal was that I needed to extract. So in any tactics game, you can move a certain amount of spaces based on your action points before you can end your turn. Not only did I have to move to the exit, but I ran out of action points when I got to the exit, so I had to cycle through 2 turns of the characters that I had before I could extract, even though I was standing on the extraction point for 2 turns. And I'm just like, okay, this is the kind of stuff that drives me nuts about these games. Like, some stuff should just be quality of life to where if I do something and I'm there, don't make me do 6 more clicks in order to get to the end of the action. So, but other than that, I think it's an interesting game. I'm going to play a little bit more of it. I really like the aesthetic. I really like the characters. It looks and runs really well on the X. So if you're into Warhammer and you like tactical strategy games, I think you should check it out. I'm trying to play more of the Avengers because I feel like I want to finish that campaign, and I feel like every time I boot that game up and I go in and I look at the war table and I do a mission, it's just exhausting.
Oh God.
I've got to the point where I don't even look at the gear anymore. I literally just open my menu every hour or so and hold the left trigger to equip best gear. I feel like 95% to 98% of the gear in that game is absolutely fucking worthless. So, like, why am I collecting it? I'm still getting, like, items to craft things that I don't know what half of them are, and the other half of them I just don't. Because half of them you use to increase your gear level, but I don't ever leave a piece of gear on longer than, like, 10 minutes. So, why would I upgrade it? Like, I'm switching my gear constantly. There are so many missions, and what's funny is, like, you'll go back to the same maps a la Destiny, and there'll be a different story for exactly the same map. Like, a minute ago, this was an explosion caused by aim, and in the next one, it's a forest fire. But it's the same fucking map. Like, I don't...
Sounds like it's
It's not
what's the word?
interesting, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, it's just lazy.
Yeah, like, when the story is kicking, the story is good. But the problem is that there's so much bullshit sprinkled in between the good parts that I just get tired of playing it.
Do you think that this was always meant to be a live service game, or do you think that the decision to be that came partway through development when Square Enix maybe thought that money could be made?
I don't know. I feel like this game was in development so long it could have been anything, or it could have been this one thing. I don't know. All I know is that right now I would not recommend people buy the Avengers, but people are going to buy the Avengers because it's the fucking Avengers, so it doesn't really matter.
Again, it was a game that I desperately wanted to be good.
I've been trying to enjoy it. That's the worst part of it, is I'm literally making an effort to like this game, and every turn this game seems to like be like, nah, I don't want you to like me. So it's weird, because like the stuff that I would be interested in doing, like getting new costumes, I think that's super interesting. In order to get new costumes, you either got to grind for the currency, which after 6 hours of playing, I don't even have enough for one outfit.
Oh, nasty.
Or you have to pay money for it, or you have to do these missions that'll give you a random costume drop. And the missions that you have to do that are so fucking tedious and repetitive that I'm just like, nah, good.
Seems like a game that I'll probably pick up when it's dirt cheap.
Yeah, I want to see this game in a year, and even then I don't know if I will enjoy it or not. Alright, let's run through the ID at Xbox games. There was quite a few of them this week. Monster Blast. This is a twin-stick horde-based shooter where you go from map to map, shooting a bunch of monsters and leveling up. It's fine. Nothing special. Minoria, which is made by the same people that did that. Anthony, you're going to have to help me with the name of that game.
Momodora.
Yes. Same people that did that, so you get kind of the same art style. This is, again, very much a left to right side-scrolling game with some action. Those guys are clearly very horny. Because your main character is a nun that walks around with a skirt that's slid up so far you can see the back of her ass cheek kind of thing. If you've played Momodora, you know that like one of the bosses is just like literally tits filling a screen.
Wow.
But the thing I can say about these games is these guys really do make solid 2D action games. Like, this game is really good, and if you're into those kind of games like I am, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's very fun to play. I tried to play the Vampire the Masquerade Shadows of New York. It is literally a text-based game where you just pick conversation pieces to further the story. It's not really my jam. The next game is called Injection 23 No Name, No Number. This is a third-person survival horror game. Very disturbing imagery. I will say that it is very technically sound. Like, it runs really well, looks really good. I need to play more of it, but from what I can tell so far, it's a pretty solid game with a very weird fucking name. So, check it out if you're into survival horror games. CarX Drift Racing Online. It's literally just a game about drifting. There's a lot of information on the screen, and there's a lot of strategy to it. It's not just like a tap the brake. Like, it actually has a percentage meter that tells you how far into the drift you are. It's very in-depth. I think people who are into drift racing will really enjoy that game. Chicken Madness I could not play because it is a straight multiplayer game. There's no single-player component. The Rattlelake Jam this week is a game called Golf Zero, and I actually enjoyed this game. I almost beat it in the sitting that I played it. So basically, you play as this little dude, and you go level to level, and the objective is that it's a platformer mixed with golfing. So each level gets progressively harder. You have to do a series of platforming, and then you have to get the ball into the hole at the end of the platforming level, which literally is like a 10-second level. But what it does is once you get through the platforming, in order to get the ball in the hole, when you press the button to shoot, you have this like radial dial, and you choose the angle at which you want to shoot it, and you get 3 shots. And you can kind of take them at different times to get it in the hole. It's a little puzzle game. There's like tons of levels. It's like $4. Go check it out. It's a pretty cool game. The next game I played is a blatant, unapologetic ripoff of Sonic the Hedgehog. And apparently it's not the first one. It's called Spark the Electric Jester 2.
Yeah, that's the 3D one. The first one is
Yes.
a ripoff of 2D Sonic.
And there's apparently a third one coming out.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I've played one, but I own 2, have not played it.
it is literally Sonic Adventure.
That's fine with me. No one else
yeah.
really does 3D Sonic.
It's
usually.
fine. It's not offensive. It's literally, you're like, hey, it's fucking Sonic. It even has like the same font style and stuff for each level.
The other one I think you're thinking of is Freedom Planet.
Yes, Freedom Planet is
That's
very
the
much
other
a 2D Sonic
Yeah.
game. But this one's straight 3D. It feels like it's made well. So, the next game I played is called Okunoka Madness, and it's a Meat Boy style game. It's move platforming fast through level to get to end piece, and in this case, you eat it. So it's like a little blue dude who's eating like these little black sparks. It's good. The thing about Meat Boy that made it so good was that the platforming felt really good, and this game the platforming feels really good. The next game I played is Hello Games' new game, The Last Campfire. Super charming puzzle game. I highly recommend it. You basically play as this little dude who's going around picking up these sparks for people that are dying, and each area is like a different environmental puzzle. It's really good. If you've not played this game, check it out.
I've heard it was made by 6 people or something like that too.
Yeah, it feels like it's made by a lot more. It kind of gives me an Unravel vibe, but only in its aesthetic. Like I don't want to call it platforming because you can't jump, but the puzzles in each area are they're not complicated, but they're fun, which I think makes a big difference. As with every week, there's a puzzle game that I played. It's called De-Leveled. It is literally, you've got 2 dots on a series of lines, and you have to make them bounce off of each other in order to... It's impossible to explain without playing it yourself. But I did play through like 20 levels of it, and I got kind of hooked on it, and I think it's super interesting. So, again, there's just too many games. And then the last game I've been playing for a few weeks now is called Hot Shot Racing. Dude, go play this fucking game. If you're a fan of old stuff like Virtual Racing or Daytona, this game has 16 tracks. All of them are super interesting. It's got that retro, polygonal art style. If I had one knock on this game, is that it also carries over the rubber band AI from those old games. Like, you will never win by a country mile in any race. And in fact, even if you are in first place the whole race, Second place is literally one bad turn away from passing you. Like, this game keeps the pack very close together. And the vice versa is true. If you somehow wreck or take a bad turn and you end up in last place, you can literally make up that ground in half a lap, as long as you don't mess up your turns. But it plays wonderfully. The soundtrack is good. There's a ton of characters. There's a bunch of stuff to unlock. And as I said, there are 16 tracks, and all 16 of them are interesting. I mean, they're all like big, goofy race courses, dinosaur environments, snow levels. I can't recommend this game enough. It is on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, you can just go download it. But yeah, check that game out. It's very good. And I play a lot of Overwatch. Anyway, moving on to the new releases for the week. We have Banner of the Maid, the Oriental Pirate. eFootball PES 2021. Maid of Skur, which is a survival horror game.
Made a skur.
Maid of Skur. Spelunky 2. Dog Duty, not poop. D-U-T-Y. I felt like I had to clarify that.
Not poop.
Not poop. EXP Parasite. Flying Soldiers. Pacer. Commandos 2 / Praetorians HD Remastered Double Pack. Crisis Remastered. Gorst. Gorsd. How would you say that? Gorst.
Sounds like something Goofy would say.
Gorsh. Void Bastards finally making its way over to PlayStation 4. And WWE 2K Battleground.
It just looks terrible.
Active Neurons 2. Johnny Rocket. Welcome to Elk. Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle. And The Blob's Fight.
Welcome to Elk was something I played a demo of in the Steam whatever. It's a point-and-click adventure that looked like it would get really weird, but it kind of looks like a cartoon. I just can't put my finger on what cartoon it looks like. All the characters are drawn and stuff. It was kind of interesting, so I'll probably end up giving that a play.
For the Nintendo Switch this week, we've got Anthony's favorite game, Fight Crab, making its way over there.
The game is fantastic.
Fight Crab.
Fight Crab.
So, John,
Yeah.
2 crabs fight.
Well, it does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah, however, they also get swords, and then you can fight with the swords and knives and like other kitchen utensils, and then guns.
Wow.
And it's kind of goofy because you control each arm of the crab with the analog sticks.
Oh no.
It's really well done.
We've also got Her Majesty's Ship, No Straight Roads, Drag Racing Rivals, Endurance Space Shooter, G-Mode Archives, Beach Volleyball Girl Shizuku 2, Kingdom Rush Origins, Mini Motor Racing X, Moero Crystal H, Nivea, that's how you say that, Super Punch Patrol, Vampire's Fall Origins, Geo Rifters, Journey of the Broken Circle, Saboteur SIO, The Secret Order Return of the Buried Kingdom, and literally the only game that matters this week, Super Mario 3D All-Stars. It's out on Friday. So yeah, good week for video games. Alright, I got 3 emails. How about that? 3. 3 is the number. This first email comes from Francisco. First time email. Hey there, guys. I've been listening to you for about 3 years now. You guys are like me and just have normal jobs and enjoy games for fun. I find your take on games more intriguing than other sites or crews. Just cool guys that love games. Anyways, I wanted to send you guys this. As a longtime gamer, PC primarily, I also own a Switch and an Xbox, but borrow my sister's PS4 to play exclusives. I just wanted to let you know that you are right about consoles and PC being different things, but I wanted to clarify that the tech behind the new announcement of the NVIDIA cards. Sure, they're expensive, but if you get a chance to look at DLSS RT cores and Tensor cores, NVIDIA Reflex and I/O, on top of NVIDIA Studio and the machinima capabilities, not to mention the massive jump in performance from what's out today, I just feel like you undersold them and the value that they hold specifically with all streaming and YouTubers out there today. Keep up the great work. Love to hear you guys week after week.
I missed that conversation, obviously.
You did. I don't ever claim to know anything about computer video cards. Like, I literally just discovered this week that the video card is in my PC supports ray tracing.
Well, have you got 20?
I got a 2070 RTX.
Oh, yeah.
Which I in turn went to the beta for Minecraft ray tracing and joined it. That's cool shit, dude.
Apparently,
Like,
Control has ray tracing. I don't know if you have that on PC, but
Well, I do not have it on PC. No.
Ah.
But I will be playing Crysis Remastered this week, which has ray tracing on consoles for the first time.
yeah, I heard that they'd managed to, through software, managed to sort that. That's probably quite impressive.
Yeah, I will be very interested to see how that looks because literally the only ray tracing I've seen up to this point is the Minecraft beta. So, all right.
I'm excited. Speaking of Minecraft, for Minecraft VR this month.
That's cool, right?
Yep.
Like
Excited.
PlayStation VR is
Yep.
doing Minecraft this month.
This
That's
month,
super cool. Next email comes from Jeremy. He says, "Hey guys, I hope you all are staying mentally positive and COVID negative." So
That's
good old
the goal.
Mike. Yeah. So good old Microsoft finally spilled the beans on price, and it sounds like Sony isn't too far behind. My question is, does Sony try to undercut the Series X or the Series S, or neither? I'm still not into the all-digital thing quite yet, but I'd say I'm 50-50 right now on digital to physical games, not including PS Plus games. I'm really digging that price point, though. I'm sure you'll touch on all this stuff on the show. Also tell Drew that, he's probably gone already. Stay safe, my friends. He was never here.
He wasn't even ever here, so.
That was his secret. He was never here.
He was never.
I think, in all honesty, Sony don't care about price. I think that they are so far ahead that they might get a little bit arrogant. Not arrogant, that's the wrong word, but
Cocky.
that they maybe cocky. I think that their full priced, full fat disc version is going to probably sit about $550-$600.
Really?
With the discless version being $50 cheaper.
I don't disagree with you on the $50 cheaper for the discless version. For the discless version.
That's correct, sir. This man has no disc.
But I definitely don't see the system coming in at that price. I think the system will be $499, and I think the discless version will be $449.
$49.
I think that price is going to be very telling as to whether John's right or whether Ryan's right. If it comes in over $499, Sony is cocky as fuck. If it comes in at $499, that's where it should be. Like, the PS5 should be $499 for the disc unit, and it should be $399 for the digital unit. $449 is not enough for almost even me to go, nah, I'll get the disc version.
Yeah.
Like, $50 is not enough to sell that discless version. The only way it'll sell then is if people are like, I can't get the disc version, so I'll buy the discless version.
I just don't think that they're taking the disc drive out saves them that much money.
It doesn't, but you know what? Microsoft's taking a huge fucking hit on the Xbox Series S.
Well, to be fair, though, it's not just a disc drive with the Series S.
It's not, but but they're taking hits on both of those consoles, and Sony can take an extra $50 hit to make that discless version more appealing.
The fact is, it's not just about saving the money, though. It's about the fact that you buy a discless version, you're all in on digital, and they make more money from digital than they do retail versions. So you would think, absolutely, they should have a bigger cut on the price of the discless version. But I think it's $50. I think that's all they're going to reduce it by.
$50 is a bad move. Here's my prediction. So if they come in $50 less on the discless version, that version stops being manufactured 6 months in, and you can't buy it next year because it's not going to sell.
No,
$50 is not enough.
I think you're thinking about that wrong. I think if you're saying like, well, $50 isn't enough, yeah, that's the version they keep printing, and they stop doing the disk drive.
No, they'll never stop doing the disk drive. Never. Too many people are too damn loud about disk drives. I don't care. If there was a diskless version of the Series X for $50 cheaper, I'd fucking buy that one.
Yeah,
Well, there might be. You saw the rumor.
That's fake.
I know it's fake.
Go. It's very I tweeted that the other day. I was like, I would be so glad when these consoles are out because I'm so fucking tired of these leakers.
You know what's funny though is if there was a in between version that had the same performance level as the Series S or Series X but just didn't have a drive, that's the one I'd buy because I have almost nothing on disc on the Xbox compared to the PlayStation.
I'd totally buy an all digital version of the X if it was cheaper. Hell yeah,
right,
100%. I don't even care if it's only.
You.
But that's just me, you know.
I'm absolutely with you. I don't buy discs anymore. Well, I saying after buying Last of Us 2 on disc because it was cheaper. Very rarely do I buy discs anymore, and I should imagine 90% of my game library now is digital. So I would be happy to have an X without a disc drive. Although saying that, I do like I do have a few 4K Blu-rays, so there's always that.
I literally, every single movie disc that I have is in a bin stored in my garage. I have no discs in my office. None.
The only ones that I have now, the only sort of Blu-rays I buy are Marvel ones and sort of collector's items, and that's it. But the Marvel ones now, even they're 4K on Disney Plus, so it's becoming harder to really warrant it. I just like having the whole set. It's weird.
I just buy them on Voodoo.
Hoodoo.
Yeah, the streaming service.
Hoodoo? You do.
Voodoo.
You who do Voodoo?
Boo boo.
Boo
But it's not poo poo.
Who's on first?
We don't have it here, so we don't have Voodoo in the UK.
Well, fuck you. That's your problem.
Well, fuck you then, he says. To an entire nation.
An entire nation of voodoo-less people. Fuck you.
Yeah.
What do you got? What is your main movie buying digital buying service over there?
There isn't one. There is.
You don't have movies anywhere, or
no. It's either iTunes or Google, YouTube, whatever. There's no.
You got Amazon though, right?
Yes, Prime, but I don't. Again,
you can buy movies on.
Oh
Amazon.
no, I know, but there's no actual dedicated. Outside of that, it is. You got Sky Digital, I guess, if you've got Sky service. But I buy my stuff on iTunes just because I've got an Apple TV. There isn't a service where there's an app for that. Well, I guess there's YouTube, which technically is an app, but there's not like a Hulu or a Voodoo.
Or a boo
You do
or
so
a
well.
Voodoo.
It's a spell. Hell, makes me want to shoot.
Yeah, I always think of the David Bowie song, the Voodoo. Who do you do what? Do remind me of the babe.
It's odd like that, but that's how it is.
That is weird because Voodoo is literally my main movie library.
I say I use iTunes because I've got an Apple TV, but we don't have a third party. Not really.
All right, next email comes from Antonio. He says, "We did it, boys. Through the power of prayer, we got the Xbox leaks, which lead to the official announcements and the unveiling of Sony's next PS5 event.
Do we think that they were actually leaked? Because there are conspiracy theorists say that Microsoft leaked them.
No,
Oh,
stop.
I know, but it's
Stop with the
interesting.
rumors, the bullshit, the leaks. Some
Interesting.
motherfucker got a hold of it, and I'll tell you, Microsoft is pissed.
Do you
Because
think?
if you were, I know they are. If you remember when, I don't know if you saw, but like a week ago, there's a guy that works internally at Microsoft. He's like sitting down with Phil to film this interview. That interview was about the Series S, and they threw all of that away because that motherfucker from, I don't know what
Wow.
site he's from, leaked the Series S that night. Like, that's why they threw all that away. It got leaked onto the internet over the weekend, and
At
even
like
Phil,
midnight, right?
yeah, like he did it at midnight, and Microsoft literally had to build something to announce the next day. And I'm not all for like the don't leak anything, blah blah blah, whatever. But the people that were planning that unveil, which was supposed to be this week, by the way, this upcoming week was supposed to be the unveiling. All of that, all of that work that they put into those series of interviews with like the engineers and Phil Spencer and all that stuff, it's now been thrown away. But all that work is now just wasted because a dude wanted some clicks on a Wednesday night.
Well, he got the clicks.
Oh, he got a ton of clicks. He broke his own site, and I get it, and it sucks.
Enjoy those 15 minutes.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
just.
but you know what? Consumers got the information, which is really all that matters.
I mean, it is, but
I'm not gonna listen. I get it. The folks at Microsoft, their work, I appreciate that. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not gonna.
They've been hanging on to
If
this.
people
information for a long
have the
time.
information and they know customers want it, I'm never gonna be a guy that's like, no. Let the corporation do their marketing. Don't leak it. Like,
No, and
Oh,
also,
I don't give
I
a shit
mean,
about the corporation.
like,
I don't give
they-
two fucks about
we
that.
now know that Microsoft, like, they had the S in its form factor 6 months ago. So they've been hanging on to this for a long time. It's kind of their own fault that this got leaked. They could have released this information sooner.
if they hadn't, and I'm rolling Sony up in this too, if they hadn't artificially created this mystery and secrecy around everything, there never would have been a leak because they would have been able to pull off their stuff because there wouldn't have been as much demand for the information.
Yeah.
It doesn't help the fact that we already knew the S existed, and then they just were kind of radio silent on it.
You know what's funny is I don't know if you guys saw the picture, but Phil had it in the background of an interview he did in
I
June.
did see that.
Yeah, that was
So-
hilarious. Hidden in plain sight.
It was just sitting right there. It was sitting there on the shelf like, hey, what's up? I'm the S. You didn't see me. All right, finish the email. The only thing missing is the nacho fries. But then I remembered your wife saying your wife made some. So I decided to look up homemade recipes and realized I had all the ingredients needed, minus the ingredients for the sauce. Well, congratulations, sir. Now you can have nacho fries all the time.
Nacho fries.
They're so good.
They're my fries.
I had Taco Bell last night. It was delicious. Other than that, I've been ridiculously addicted to the Avengers. I'm really embarrassed to say how much I've played. Leveling up, doing the daily challenges, getting better gear and skill points is scratching that OCD itch. Hulk and Iron Man suck gameplay-wise, and it feels like Kamala's voice actor is the only one who took their job seriously, being the fangirl that she's supposed to be. I really hope I burn out soon. Oh, and 505 Games can go fuck themselves.
Yes, they can.
Isn't it amazing how quick they completely demolished goodwill that they had from that game?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Again,
there were
that was a lot of big sites game of the year last year, and they have sullied the name of that game by deciding to try and shill an extra couple of bucks.
Yep. It sucks because that game is still incredible. I don't care what. That's a really good fucking game, and I love playing it. But I'm not paying $40 to get it upgraded.
And all
I'd
they
pay
have to do-
$5 or $10, but
it's and the thing is, like any other generation, that would have been completely reasonable. But
Yep.
it's just a complete abject failure to read the room to do
Yeah,
that this year.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
look
even
at
the
everything
companies.
that Microsoft has done with their like smart delivery stuff. Even EA, the fucking evil fucking corporation, the antitheses of evil corporation, even they knew not to fucking do it.
I mean, even the companies that are doing it shittily by charging you an extra $10 for both versions, It's only $10.
Yeah, 2K are pretty shitty about that. Yeah.
But it's only $10. Like, it's crappier than everybody else, but it's still a hell of a lot better than making you rebuy the fucking game.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a couple tweets before we get out of here. We got Blue Apple Blue saying, "Do you think post-apocalyptic games and zombie games will change after COVID-19? We saw during this pandemic irrational behavior like denial of the virus, blaming 5G mobile towers, and people refusing to take minimal precautions like wearing masks."
Fucking ridiculous, and we are living in some sort of hell B movie.
Dude, my wife last night suggested that we rent hashtag Unfit. I don't know if you've seen this. It's a documentary about Trump.
Oh, really? Where'd you rent that from?
Amazon.
Hulu. Voodoo.
You can rent it from all of those, yes. But no, we rented it from Amazon. That is like literally an hour and 20 minutes of psychoanalysis. And it is super fucking interesting. They go into the pandemic stuff and how people react to it and explain why people do that. It's just super interesting. I definitely recommend you watch it.
What's it called?
Hashtag Unfit.
I'll have to look that up because
Yeah.
the whole. I'm gonna. You guys are the exception but how Americans or a lot of Americans are acting about him, and they don't see anything wrong with what he's doing or what he's done, boggles my mind. And I know you guys are reasonable guys. You know, you hate him as much as we do. But the fact that there are so many people out there, like I see somebody tweeted a tweet about from someone who in America who'd it's like, right, this Tuesday enough's enough. None of us wear a mask. Masks abolish this shit. It's all crap. And they've got like 5,000 retweets. You think, Jesus Christ.
John.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Absolute fucking
And
idiot.
People listen to him, so you know exactly what it's like. There you go.
I'm with, this tweet about like when I go to the store and I see people. I saw a woman with her child, and neither one of them had a mask on in a busy store.
Children,
And I'm just
I kind of understand that it might be difficult with children. Children don't always understand, but adults should be.
Then don't take them to the grocery store.
Yeah, some people don't have a choice. But again, the parents should be wearing them. The parents should be setting an example and normalising it so that the children may understand why they have to wear it. There's no excuse for an adult.
Yeah, no, I don't understand it. It's a simple thing that literally saves lives.
So this is completely anecdotal, and I completely recognize that, but I have yet to meet a single kid who has trouble wearing a mask unless their parents have trouble wearing a mask.
Yeah, my son, he doesn't like
every kid I know, they put it on and then they forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever. It is what it is. My son, if we say, all right, we're going to run to, the other day we say, okay, we have to run to Lowe's, make sure you grab your mask. He's got it on before we even leave the house. It's like, Jacob, you don't have to have that on yet. We're not at the store. That's fine. Like,
Good on him.
I mean, he doesn't care.
No.
So, I don't know. I think a lot of the kids who have trouble with it, not all of them, I recognize there's some kids that do, but I think most of the time the kids who have trouble with it, it's because their parents have trouble with it.
Yeah, they don't force it, or they don't encourage that you wear it. And it's just,
right.
I don't get it. Like, literally mine is on anytime I open my car door, the first thing I do is put a mask on. And my son sees that. My wife does it when she takes him out. It's not hard. Like, it's a simple thing that can do a hell of a lot of good. I don't get it. Anyway. It's a weird world. The next tweet comes in from Peter. He says, "Hi from Denmark. Love the show. Questions. Do mainstream media outlets and sites forget about us older hardcore fans who still have an original Xbox One? it's a big, big upgrade to the Series 1X or PS4.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I mean, we sit here and we talk about the upgrade and the differences between the Series S and the Series X, but there are people who are still running that original Xbox One, and the S is a huge, huge upgrade to that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm one of
I'm
those
someone
people.
who's running an original Xbox One, but I also have 4K TVs in my house, so I don't intend on buying an S, a Series
Yep.
S.
Yep, I certainly don't intend to buy a Series S. But I understand its appeal, and like I said, I do truly believe that will be the best-selling Xbox console, at least within the first couple of years of next generation. Because there is a ton of people out there who just don't give a shit about 4K, man. It's true, and I don't understand it because I'm like, if I'm going to upgrade to a next-gen console, give me the big bad motherfucker, you know. But there's a lot of people that don't care. There's a lot of people still running OG Xboxes, like what Ryan said. There's a bunch of people still running OG PS4s, man. They don't care.
I fit both those demographics.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people like that. And I get that we're different. You know, a lot of us, we got to have the biggest bat. That's why we all have the newest iPhones or the newest, Galaxies or, TVs that are way too big or way too high resolution. Let's all be, I was going to say, let's all be fair. In this room, if we had the money, we would all have one of those stupid 8K TVs, even though nothing supports it.
Yeah.
So,
A fool and his money.
Exactly. We're all at the age now where we have more money than time, and we buy stuff that makes us feel good. So,
yeah,
I done been at that age.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of pleased that, and I know we don't know what the digital version of the PS5 is going to be priced at just yet, but I'm just glad that there are options for people who may not be able to afford $400, $500, that they can get a close next gen. They can get things like ray tracing and super high speeds, and play these games. Maybe not with the whole fidelity and the resolution of the Series X, but they can get to play them and have a very close experience for a fraction of the price. That's fantastic. They can have next gen at a lower price. That's great news.
Can I just say one thing? I will be very interested for us to have this same conversation exactly 1 year from today, because if one thing that this industry has taught me is that guys like us that play this shit and are on top of everything, we know nothing about how the public's going to react to things.
Yeah, I guess we don't know much because we look at it from the inside. We cover this sort of stuff. We're fans of these consoles and boxes under our TVs. We are not the general public.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best illustration of that would be to go back and listen to our first couple shows before the Wii came out. And then a year, and then a year later, once the Wii was actually in the market, and look at the perception of that system. We know enough to be completely wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. We pick what we think is going to be the best selling stuff, and it never is.
Right.
Never. Yeah, we know bugger all.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that there's a lot of people out there that seriously do this, and they're like, yeah, this is how this is going to be, and it's just like the leakers that have cropped up, around these new consoles. How I've literally watched one guy. I followed him on Twitter for about a month, and I watched every leak, supposed rumor that he had. He was wrong 100% of the time.
Yeah, especially in consumer electronics, predictions are so hard because you just never know what's going to catch on. Because it really, honestly, genuinely depends on the software that comes out.
Yeah,
like the Wii doesn't hit the heights it hits without Wii Sports.
Yeah. And who knew that a pack-in sports game that lets you bowl with a fucking wand would be the hottest thing to ever come out?
It was that game. It's not a stretch to say was the difference maker for Nintendo. leading all the way up to this generation.
Yeah.
That game created a lot of the success that Nintendo has even now.
Yeah, it's insanity. If you remember the jokes we made about Fortnite,
Yeah.
when they pivoted to copy PUBG.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, just before then, it was like vaporware. When will Fortnite come out? It was like
It was a recurring
never
joke.
coming out. Yeah, absolutely. And not only, I mean, admittedly, it changed dramatically and it did pivot. But the fact is that was a running joke for such a long time. We had shits and giggles over that, and then now look at it.
It's like that with a lot of games. I'm sure Wombat will be on the same page with me with this, but I had no idea that Roblox was one of the biggest games in the world until I had a child.
Yeah.
I had no fucking clue. I remember that thing coming out and I played it and I was like, wow, this is a hot pile of garbage, and I deleted it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this won't make it 2 months. And that fucking thing is monstrous.
Yeah.
So don't ask me. I don't know.
Minecraft was the same way. Minecraft came out, and I thought, man, this is pretty cool. But never would I have predicted that it would become what it became.
Yeah, one of the biggest cultural games of all time.
Yeah, not media. One of the biggest cultural media pieces of all time. Not just exclusive to video games.
Yeah, it's insanity. It's just, I don't know. I could tell you what I think's going to win, and it's probably not. So don't listen to me. Anyway, one last tweet before we get out of here. It says, "What's up, fellas?" This comes from Curtis. "What's up, fellas? It's a great time for gamers. Several bombs dropped this week. Who felt them? Goddamn, I'm still feeling after the shocks. Microsoft Series S for $299 and PS5 news incoming this Wednesday. Holy shit. It's been an exciting week.
It has.
And the thing is, it's only going to ramp up from here. So we've got Sony stuff on Wednesday. And so from that point on, it's going to be market and hype. They're both going to be in full swing. You're going to have, and I can see how this will go. You're going to have Sony push the popularity of the PlayStation 4, and rightly so. You know, that's something to shout about. That thing sold gangbusters. You're going to have Xbox and Microsoft push the value of the Game Pass, and again, rightly so. There's no service out there like it, and it's going to be two different market and stars, I think, but it's going to be big, and because we are not used to having to wait this long for pre-orders, you know, you're talking about less than 8 weeks between pre-order and release. So you're going to have, whereas before you'd be able to pre-order at E3 time, you've got a long ramp up of, drip-fed information and market, and now you're going to have 8 weeks, and it is going to be full on, and it's going to be one hell of a ride. Yeah,
I think the biggest thing is that we're literally getting these prices in, like you said, September, and when you can pre-order an Xbox Series X, granted, I'm assuming the PlayStation pre-orders go live within the next couple weeks as well.
They go live the same day. I will put money on that.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it will. I just think
if that happens, John, Sony straight up fucking lied to your face. Because if you remember when the Best Buy pages went live and Sony came out and said, "Hey, we're not going to just spring this on you. We're going to give you time."
Yeah,
they said that. They said that.
They did, and 6 days is time.
6 days is not time. If they announce it on Wednesday and put it up for pre-order on Wednesday, that's a day of.
No, it's not. They will go live on the 22nd.
Well, I thought you said when they announce it, they're going to go live. That's what you said.
No, I said that they will go live at the same time as Microsoft.
Oh, maybe that's the case.
Yeah, they both go live, I think, on the 22nd.
Let's be fair, though. You're not going to be able to get a PS5 because those pre-orders will sell out because they're only going to have like a couple 100,000 of those things.
No, didn't they say that they're going to have a couple of million a couple of months ago?
Yeah, that's bullshit. Ain't no console coming out this fall going to have 1 million units to sell. I'm sorry. I don't care what kind of bullshit you've been driving.
No, I know. It's not with everything that's gone on this year. These things will be hard to get.
Yep. But that's it for the tweets. Next week, I'm sure we'll have a lot more to discuss when we compare prices of these two machines, hopefully. But yeah, it's an exciting time. There's a lot of games getting ready to drop. I think the funniest thing is that every game that we're going to talk about this fall, you don't have to buy these new machines to play. I think that's weird and hilarious at the same time. But also 2020 has been a fucking weird year. So, if you want to follow us on Twitter at N4G Podcast, you can tweet at us every week for the show. If you want to shoot us emails, like we got 3 this week, that's awesome. Podcasts at ztgd.com. We'll read them. We'll answer them. We'll talk to you. We'll tell you about nacho fries. They're delicious. If you want to follow us on Twitter, John is at John WK. Ryan is at WombatRP. Or is it R Wombold? I can never fucking remember.
Wombat RP.
That's what I thought.
R Wombold was the old one.
Okay. I know one of them was the old one of them's the new one, and I get them wrong every week. You can follow the site as ZTGD Content. You can follow me as ZTGD. Check out Phoenix Down. Drew is working through the God of War. He just hit a big pinnacle moment. I'm so proud of him. It only took him 2 years to learn the secrets of how great God of War was.
Which part did he get to then?
Not that part.
Oh, okay.
Not the thing where you go, oh no, no way. No. He got to some good
Oh, I
stuff.
don't know if that's that part. No, I'm thinking the part where he goes back to the cabin.
Yeah, no, not that part.
Oh, okay.
No, that's the part where you go, oh my god, oh wow.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's the part that blew my mind.
Yeah, no, he hasn't got there yet. But he is finding out that he should have played that game 2 years ago.
Has he? Yes. Drew, I'm so ashamed.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's it. Unless anybody has anything else, I'm going to get this set up and we're going to get out of here. All right. Peace, bitches.
Alrighty. And it goes something like this.
Epic fail. Welcome to the N4G Podcast. Oh, you can... It's me, Mario. $0.
This is going to be a very interesting episode.
Greetings, programs. I got lost trying to find my way to the secret underground N4G Radio lair.
The Wombat. And
always so being angry.
Killer Wolverine. Play games, not consoles. No fanboys allowed.
And then I killed the dragon. 8.0.
Killed the dragon.